It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Welcome to the Brand Crafted Social Club, How Iconic Milwaukee Brands Plan. Tonight, we're going to allow the business owners in the audience to talk with the executives, and we're all going to step back, and we're going to pause, and we're going to dream for the future. There are times in our life where we're doing to-do lists, and we're grinding, right? We're doing things as fast and as hard as we can. Tonight is not about that. Tonight is to think about your business and where your business might go if you have the courage to dream. I work with small businesses every day, and I find that a lot of small business owners are really good at grinding. They're not really good at dreaming. They might not have annual plans or quarterly plans or monthly plans. And not everybody is governed by like a daily sales quota. So you need some guideposts to get out there, because if you don't have the guideposts, some bad stuff can happen. You could be doing the same thing over and over and not growing the business. You could be chasing the wrong thing, where you're going down one road and you really should be worried about another priority. But the worst thing I find is if you don't have goals, the problem is that you don't know what to say no to. You'll get asked to do something and it'll be like, okay. But if you're really focused on where you're going and what you're doing, it gives you the permission and the free brain space to say no. So one thing, and the reason why we're here, is to think about the future. And you may say, well, Pat, you work with small business owners. Why the Wisconsin State Fair and why Summerfest? They have millions of people. They're not small businesses. I'll tell you why. If you look around the room and the people that are here, we have quilt store owners, and we have franchisees, and we have photographers, and we have people that do relationship management, we have videographers. We've got everything in the Brand Crafted Social Club. So the idea that I had was, why don't we get some folks that do a little bit of everything, and people that we all look up to, and do these impossible projects. We're going to talk to people tonight that have, I don't know, 1 million people come to their house for 11 days. Like, that's something that you really got to do some good planning on. We've got another organization here tonight that's hosting the Democratic National Convention and lobbying the governor for money so they can expand. I mean, these are big time projects. So the leaders that are in the room tonight, they're doing things that are on a scale unimaginable. But if we listen closely, and my job tonight is to represent the small business owners and make sure I'm asking questions so it's relatable. So I encourage you tonight to think big, and I'll do my best to ask questions that are actionable for all of us. Plus, our guests, who again are fantastic, have agreed to hang out for a couple of minutes afterwards. So if you want to follow up with a question, you want to connect with them, they've all already agreed to do so. So please make sure that you go over and shake their hand, because our guests tonight are spectacular. The CEO of the Wisconsin State Fair, Kathleen O'Leary. She's over there by the bar. Give her a big round of applause. Next to Kathleen, the CEO of the Wisconsin Center District, Mr. Marty Brooks. And the Marketing and Advertising Director for Summerfest, Miss Sara McGuire. So this is the part of the program where I'm supposed to drone on and on about how qualified they are and where they went to school and what their dog's name is and all that kind of stuff, and we're not going to do that. Just trust me when I tell you that if I had a dream list of people to be on stage to represent brands, these are 3 of the nicest people I ever met. They just so happen to be really big deals. So meet with them on LinkedIn, look up their credentials, learn about them, because they've all done spectacular things, and I want to maximize the time that we have on stage with them. So Sara, you might want to come up here and get comfortable, because I'm going to start asking you questions in just a minute. So let's do it formally. Let's welcome to the stage the Marketing and Advertising Director for Summerfest, Milwaukee World Festival, Sara McGuire.
Get on like a bicycle.
Sara, Marketing and Advertising Director, do a little bit of everything at Summerfest, oversee almost literally everything, it sounds like. Give us some scope on Summerfest, because we see it as an 11-day festival, but give us some raw numbers, guests, bands, just how big is big?
Sure, so yes, we're big. The event we put on is big. There's no doubt about it. However, I will say, being small businesses here in the audience, we're kind of a small business. A lot of people don't realize Milwaukee World Festival, Inc. is a not-for-profit. There's about 45 of us who work there year-round. So I'm sure, Kathleen, you've never heard this. It's like, what? That's a year-round job? I thought it was just 11 days. But yeah, so it's 11 days, typically the last week of June, first week of July. We brought in this year over 2,000 artists, if you can believe
Wow.
that. That's about 800 acts throughout those 11 days. We welcomed just under 800,000 people over those 11 days. And, it's a party right on Milwaukee's lakefront. It's the one and only venue that is right along the lake. We're talking 75 acres.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big number.
Big.
And, we've been going since 1968. So
Wow.
it's pretty exciting.
And you keep on building new stages.
We do. Well, yes and no. We've built a couple new ones, but we keep refreshing the ones that we have.
Refreshing new stages.
Refreshing.
Yes.
They get facelifts, we
Yeah.
want them to look pretty. We're very proud of that, though. This last year, we welcomed a refreshed U-line stage at the northernmost end of the Summerfest grounds. And right now, we're in phase 2 of the amphitheater renovation. That truly is more than a facelift.
Yeah.
So we're very excited about that. It's totally privately funded. We're raising money for it, and using that money that we earned during Summerfest. Thank you for buying your beers. Is all going back into the grounds.
If we have to. It's for a good cause, apparently.
Twist your arm, Milwaukee. Yeah.
So we see this 11-day party that's just so much fun. It brings everyone to town. It's the world's largest. It's amazing. But this team of 40-something employees, what do you do the rest of the year?
We just kick back, listen to music.
Right.
Yeah.
Chill.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, truly, it is, I laugh. People are like, oh, do you take off right now? And it's like, nope. Like, we are hot and heavy planning for 2020. We're out there, entertainment has more offers out to acts than I can even count. We're working on budgets for 2020. We're having full organization meetings for what we're going to put where on the grounds next year. We're full speed ahead.
So can you think of one employee's responsibility that we might not think of? Like, oh, that's the person in charge of having beer backstage or something. Like, someone's got a very specific task that is very Summerfesty. Can you think of anything like that in your organization?
I'll tell you, there's not a specific person that has a role like that, but you would be surprised who you would find in a golf cart running whatever Miller beer to whatever artist that wants it right now. So,
Yeah.
We all chip in, we all jump in.
That sounds like you've done it.
Yeah, yes, maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the great thing about it. And I think what, speaks to having that small business spirit is you're willing to, pull up your bootstraps, roll up your sleeves, and get in there and do what needs to be done.
So it's a giant festival. It takes an entire year or more to plan because the entertainment people are working more than a year in advance sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
They're planning tours, maybe 2 Summerfests out.
Yep.
So with all of these different mouths to feed, with planning and trying to bring the festival together, when the leaders get together, how does Summerfest evaluate success? Like, what are you paying attention to know if you did a good job in this year's festival?
Sure. So many things.
Well,
there's not
I
one
bet.
big overarching thing. I will say, Summerfest, when it started in 1968, just to go in the Wayback Machine for a minute, Henry Meyer, took a trip over to Germany and went to Oktoberfest and was like, this is an amazing party, and this would be great for me to bring back to Milwaukee to really bring the community together. So with that in mind, that's how Summerfest started. And it's something that, even to this day, we really strive for. We don't have a specific type of, genre of music. We really, this is a marketer's nightmare, right? Like, our demo is humans age 8 to 80. Like,
Sure.
how do you target that? But we'll get into that later. But, so truly, I think maybe this is a little hippy-dippy for me to say, right? But, like, the fact that we can still bring a music festival to the city of Milwaukee that brings the community together. You can walk those 75 acres and see somebody from every neighborhood, from all the suburbs, probably from Chicago as well,
We don't like to point them out, though.
Right. But, really, that's success to me. So you can look at it that way. Also, giving back to the community. Over 100,000 guests who visited Summerfest this year took advantage of our admission promotions, many of which give back to the community. So whether you're bringing in a canned good or some food for Hunger Task Force or donating a book for a child to read, And there's so many ways that we give back to the community that way. And maybe a little sexier is the entertainment. So, quick little story this year. Talk about success. Has anyone in the audience not heard of Billie Eilish at this point? No? So I'll tell you, when we announced that she was coming to the amphitheater, the response on social was hilarious. It was, and it kind of goes with any big announce that we do for an act, like the act that you are like, this is going to make me go to Summerfest, I love it, is the same exact act that I would be like, I'm not going there ever again because I hate that band, you know? So, but she was a perfect example of a lot of people were like, who is this? We don't know. Yeah. She had the fastest selling ticket ever.
For real?
For real.
More than McCartney?
More than McCartney, more than the Rolling Stones.
Come on.
No joke.
Wow.
Her pre-sales, and she had 3 pre-sales leading up to the on-sale, I mean, we've never seen anything like it. It was magical. So that is, you know, that's another one. I say there's lots of little ways that we measure success, and that's one of them.
How many new friends did you have when Billie Eilish got announced? Hey,
a
Sara.
lot of new friends, yes.
We went to 4th grade together, remember me?
Yeah. How does this work? Do you get free tickets? You know?
Well, you do, right?
No.
Okay.
Not amphitheater, no.
All right, so
If you
take
need
us...
any general admission, you hit me up, feel free.
That was an offer. That was an offer right there.
Don't forget me.
Noted on tape, by the way.
If you're in the room, Facebook friends.
So, the festival ends. How do you start the planning process? Like, what are you doing? Are you doing deep dive conversations? Are you looking at the numbers first? How do you start thinking about next year?
Yep, so the festival ends, and I will tell you, the first thing I do is sleep.
Yeah,
for about 14 hours at least, maybe a little bit longer, because those weeks are intense. I mean, truly, like you wouldn't think as a full-time employee you're working this much, but we're talking over 11 days. I'm in there for 220 hours. No exaggeration.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so we sleep. Then we get back to the office and we're hitting the numbers. We're looking at recaps. I'm looking at, our advertising and how all of that went. We're pulling numbers for all of our sponsors. Sponsors are such a huge part of what we do at Summerfest and allow us to keep the admission costs down for guests and really keep things affordable. So, that's a big part of what we do. And then, like this year, for example, Summerfest was over, the construction crews right back out at the amphitheater, back to work. In marketing, we're thinking, okay, how are we going to tell this story about the amphitheater over the next year as it gets built? Entertainment's getting the offers out there to acts for 2020, so we're right back at it.
So literally mid-August, you're already churning? Like it's a full go in mid-August?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. We get to sneak away every now and then for vacations, but I went away for 4 days. It was like the best 4 days, kind of recharge your battery a little bit. But yeah, I mean, we're in it.
So those are some big picture things, but everyone has their own pet things that they kind of keep an eye on. Are there certain reports that you're watching or certain little nuggets that you're listening for? Like I could see if I were doing your job, on the last day of the festival, I walk this area to feel it. Like how do you, and this might not be a technical report, but how do you know in your heart that you're carrying the torch and it's working the way that it should?
I think you kind of said it. So I moved to the Milwaukee area when I was 10 years old, and I've been going to Summerfest since I was 12, and I have not missed a year since then. Even when I lived across the country, I would fly home and come to Summerfest. My thing that I do every night after I do my job in the amphitheater is walk the grounds, and I do laps. And to experience the vibe and the energy at the different stages, depending on what act is there that night, and just really see what's going on. I mean, that to me is a big measure of, how well we're doing and what people are excited about.
But it's interesting now, thinking of small business owners, we may feel that something's working, but the data is saying something different. How good is your heart against what the numbers turn out to be? You know what I mean? Like, wow, this year was great. Then you pull the numbers like, no, it wasn't. It was terrible.
Sure. Well, gosh, I'm trying to think if I have a good example for that. Yeah, I mean, your heart isn't always on point, right? It doesn't necessarily always speak the truth.
Sure.
But that is where I lean on partners such as yourself, or just talking to people who came to Summerfest and getting their feedback and hearing their experience. Because I will say, the way I view it, especially now that I work there, is very different than the average fest goer. So it's great to kind of, I love sitting down and talking to people about their experiences and how they saw it going.
Let's talk nitty-gritty planning for a minute. Maybe a vision or a process or an exercise that your team runs. Can you share anything that either you do with your team or the bigger team does that we might be able to steal, like something that you do behind the scenes?
Nothing earth-shattering, I will tell you this, but it's we have a really great team. We're lucky. A lot of us are friends, and we enjoy spending time with each other anyway. So we sit around, maybe have a little bit of a bitch session, We talk about the good, the bad, everything in between, and we really just brainstorm. Yeah. So I know it's not earth-shattering, it's not like a super sexy answer, but as we talk and we go through everything, it's amazing what ideas can be born from that.
One of the things that's interesting about you being on the panel, we have two CEOs who are going to be on later, but your marketing and advertising, you run it. Can we talk about marketing for a minute, like actual marketing stuff? So you're using all the tricks in the bag, right? Because you have an audience from 8 until 80. Can you talk a little bit about your marketing mix and how you make decisions?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting, right? Because it's so great when you can be like, my target audience is adults 25 to 54, and that's who I need to reach. But we have a very wide audience, and so really it's looking at what message we're putting out there, and that's how I kind of fine-tune it. So we do business group sales. We invite business owners to buy tickets at a discounted rate for their employees, or maybe you have a corporate party there, or such like that. How I market to those folks is very different than how I choose to market the campaign for Jason Aldean, say.
Right.
So it's really looking at the message that we're looking to get out there, who we need to reach, and dialing it in as much as possible. And certainly there's all the wonderful things that you can do with digital marketing nowadays and targeting that way. But I mean, you can think back to old school stuff too, right? Like it's being in business papers, or you know what? If you would have told me 10 years ago in my career that I'd be a super huge fan of out of home and outdoor and old school, grassrootsy, fun marketing tactics, I would have probably chuckled. Knowing what was booming in the digital world, but that kind of stuff works in certain instances as well. So it's really just long-winded answer, right? But it's really just finding that audience, knowing what message you want to get out there, knowing who is going to benefit most from hearing it, and figuring out how to reach those people.
Something I've been doing a lot of research on is this medium called radio and how amazing radio is when it comes to promoting Summerfest.
It is. Yes, it is.
Yes, it
Thank
is.
you, radio partners.
There you go.
There's a few of you in the audience.
You might understand that joke. Look it up. I'm kidding.
Oh, but truly, you're right.
It is. Well,
it's true.
The partnerships and the non-paid promotion you get out of marketing when you're talking directly to their fans goes a long way. Yes. I had to throw that in. You knew I was going to say that.
You know what, though? I'm glad you did.
Okay.
Because, and this is, so when you and I spoke ahead of time, one of the things that you asked me is, what marketing tactic, used to work really, really great, but doesn't work at all anymore.
Right.
And I couldn't give you a straight answer for that because it really depends on the message that you're trying to get out there. Would I do a business group sales message on Instagram? Probably not. Would I do it on LinkedIn? Absolutely. Would I advertise Ozzy Osbourne on, the Light Rock radio station? No, it wouldn't. But it's going to do really, really well on an active rock station. So yeah, I mean, when I hear people say, oh, radio's dead, or, fill in the blank, this is dead. Maybe for your business, let's talk about it, but it really just depends what message you're trying to get out there. I don't think anything's, maybe Yellow Pages, but.
Yellow Pages might be kind of dead. I think we can agree on that. Can we agree on that, the Yellow Pages? Yeah. Don't
maybe
buy
that
Yellow
one.
Pages. Yeah. It's called Google.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can't talk to someone from Summerfest and not tell a few Summerfest stories. I mean, there's got to be, you got to have a Summerfest story or two, right? Can you give us something? Come on, give us something. You got something. Don't say you don't have something. I know you do.
I don't know if it's going to be as, amazing as anyone would want it to be, but I'll tell you what, one of the coolest parts about my job, I spend a lot of time in the office most of the year, but during those 11 days, one of my responsibilities each and every night is working with our house photographers and external media photographers and getting them in and out of the amphitheater, working with artist management, meeting with their security teams, knowing what we can do that night, what we can't do, being the stickler boss lady and getting people in, getting people out, and moving them on their way. That has provided me some really, really cool moments in my career there. I have had the opportunity twice now to be in the pit, in the amphitheater, with just myself and one photographer, because that's all I could get approved.
Yeah.
And sit and watch one of my absolute favorite artists, who my dad introduced me to as probably 5 years old. I remember hearing his voice, that recognizable voice of Willie Nelson. There he is, 10 feet away from me on the stage, you just feel like a little kid. So we keep it professional. I mean, we're not back there. I've heard some amazing stories from back in the day, but nowadays we keep it professional. We're not backstage trying to meet people. We have moments where we run into people, but it's really just those kind of special little moments that maybe it means something to you from growing up, or whatever, where you get to be really close to somebody, and that's cool.
That's neat. We only have a few minutes left. How do you sharpen your saw? What do you do to stay sharp and learn? How do you learn about being better at what you do?
Sure. My favorite thing truly is just talking to other people and finding out what they're doing and what they are finding that works or doesn't work for them, and just learning more about what's out there. I'm never going to pretend like I know it all, and things are changing so quickly.
Right.
And our whole team is like that. We're great that way. We're always, doing research and poking around and seeing what other music festivals are doing, or other local businesses are doing, or fun things that are going on in the community. So I think it's a great way to learn. Yeah,
it's a great way to learn. Tell us about reading. You're a reader. Do you recommend any books by chance, or?
So I love books. I don't get to sit down and read the way I would like to, but I am guilty of, I have the Audible app, and so I'm constantly listening to them in the car. The one I listened to most recently, which I thought was fun, not so much business related as just life, but Mel Robbins, The 5-Second Rule. Yeah. I may be a little late to the boat on this one, but holy cow, she's incredible. I want to hang out with that lady. She's pretty rad.
That was a great book.
I loved it. Yeah. So I would recommend it if you haven't heard it or read it.
This group is about connecting you with others. Is there anyone in particular, types of businesses you want to connect more often with, or people individually you want to meet? How can we help you? As if you need it, but how can we help you?
Oh, no, of course. Yeah, no. I want to hear, if you've been to Summerfest lately, I want to hear your stories. More importantly, maybe, if you haven't been to Summerfest in a number of years, I would love to hear your stories and find out why. It's those little individual nuggets that really help us in all that we do. Yeah. So,
well, I have a list of bands for you to book for next year.
Perfect.
So
thank you.
I'll definitely connect with that. And you also heard from Sara, and in all seriousness, we connected before, and she's open to connect with you on LinkedIn or get to know you better. So please take advantage of her generosity, because the work that your team does is unbelievable. And carrying that torch for the city is a special honor, and you and your team do a great job.
We're very proud of it. Thank you.
So, Sara McGuire, Marketing Director, Summerfest, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Great job. Thank you. All right. Okay, that was fun. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Wisconsin Center District. So, Marty, you want to come up and have a seat? Let's welcome to the stage the CEO of the Wisconsin Center District, Mr. Marty Brooks. Now, be careful here, this whole getup. Hi, friend. You okay there?
I'm good.
Excellent. So, when did you move to town? You've been here a couple of years.
I moved January of last year.
Last year, so a year and a half so far?
A little over a year and a half.
And how do you like Milwaukee now that you're here?
Love Milwaukee.
Yeah?
It reminds me a lot of Baltimore. I grew up in Baltimore. And what I think I like most about the city is, and the surrounding areas, is just how genuine and warm everyone is. This is the fourth city that I've lived in for work, and never have I been embraced by so many people. What you all take advantage in living here is when you're interacting with people, many of these people you've known your whole life. What we have found from the day we moved into as recently as this past weekend, no matter where we are, who we meet, people in Milwaukee, when you're talking to them, whether it's someone at the pharmacy or at the food store, and they find that you're not from Milwaukee, big smile comes to their face and say one of two things: either welcome to Milwaukee or welcome to Wisconsin. And that type of hospitality is spoken of for other cities, but I've never experienced it like I have here. And it's a great place to live. I hope you all appreciate it. The quality of life here is outstanding. Yeah, the winters are cold, but you know that. And so you dress warmly.
Yeah.
And you plan your life accordingly. So it's been a great move for us, and I love it here.
So you are the CEO of the Wisconsin Center District. Some folks would say, what's a Wisconsin Center District? Can you tell us what makes up, because it's more than some people understand. Tell us everything in your ecosystem. Ecosystem. That's an extra shiny word.
Well, we are a quasi-government agency, over 20 years old, and we're responsible for the property between 4th and 6th and Wisconsin and to the north side of Kilbourne. Our holdings are the Wisconsin Center, the Convention Center, the UWM Panther Arena, and the Miller High Life Theater. And then the parking space that's between Kilbourne and Wells, we also own.
Okay. So you've got a few things going on, as you could say. We do. Right?
We're busy.
I'd like to talk about the DNC, which is coming up next year, and also, remember that thing? Did you get the email on that? It's a thing.
I forgot.
Yeah, we'll talk after. And, of course, the expansion, which is no small potato either. So let's start with the DNC. What part of the DNC coming here did you play, and what is your team, like, how was the reaction when the, I don't know, email went around, but what was it like when you got it?
We were involved for the past little over a year. I think when I joined in January, in February, March, we started talking with Alex Lazary and the local host committee to put together the bid. And obviously the general sessions themselves are going to be in the Fiserv Forum. That was always going to be the anchor for the convention. But in supporting the convention with 50,000 people, they need other spaces. So they've leased from us the Wisconsin Center, the Miller High Life Theater, the UWM Panther Arena, and the parking lots from the first week of June until the 26th of July. We have not yet been told what they're going to be using our space for yet. We should hear that by middle of next month. They're meeting, and all of the different property users from the DNC will be told what spaces they have. But it looks like the third level, our exhibition space, will be the media center for the convention. And then the Panther Arena and some of our meeting rooms will be used for the different caucus sessions.
Okay. So your organization is big, and this is a very big project. Thinking about small business owners in the room, sometimes we take on projects that don't seem big to an organization your size, but they're big risks for us. So big news gets dropped on us. Well, this is big news that got dropped on even a big organization. What did you think when you realized, okay, I have to get my team ready for this? As the leader, what went through your mind about getting people ready?
First was, oh, we got it, and now how are we going to pull this off?
Yeah.
You've said a couple of times we're a big organization. Not really. We're not much bigger than Summerfest is. I was surprised when Sara said 45 full-time employees. We have 68 full-time employees. Oh. Our part-time base is 225 people. We do use a number of third-party contractors. Levy Restaurants does our food and beverage service. CTI does our technology, audiovisual services for the complex. When we got it, it's funny, the announcement came shortly after Mayor Barrett had done a State of the City address at the Fiserv Forum, and everyone was expecting the announcement to be made there, and it wasn't. I got back to the office, and one of the staff said, "Congratulations, we got it." What are you talking about? We got it. And that's how I found out. And I screamed. It was a real rush to be able to now move forward and be a part of what's going to be a transformational event for our city.
Yeah.
I know this isn't really what you asked us, but we have seen, as has Visit Milwaukee, a ridiculous increase in the inquiries for what's Milwaukee about, what kind of convention space do you have, tell us about your hotel package. We've seen multiple visits for people, event planners, looking to look at this market who would have never considered our city before, seeing that we were awarded the DNC.
The credibility, top of mind awareness, all that.
And I have every confidence in the world that this city can pull it off. It's a huge event, and it's a huge responsibility. We got this. The city has this. We've got great professionals in here. It's going to be, I'm not going to say it's easy. Yeah. It's going to be great, and we're going to pull it off, and it's going to be ridiculously memorable for everybody who comes here.
So 2 parts. First, let's talk about the DNC, then I have a question about the expansion. As far as the DNC, sharing the vision with your team and getting their buy-in to pull this off as being the host, like the facilities, how did you go about doing that so they were all seeing the same vision that you were seeing?
Well, I'm going to give you a shameless plug.
Me a shameless plug?
Yeah, a shameless plug. And it's not about radio. When I joined the organization, it was a fairly dysfunctional organization. It had been run and staffed by people who really were not from the sports, venue, or entertainment business. Most of the full-time employees had been there anywhere from 5 to 40 years and had never had a job other than the Wisconsin Center. Most were former city employees who had worked with the city when it was the Mecca. I needed help in developing a vision, a CEO vision that I could share with the staff to energize them. All of this completely separate from the DNC. We engaged you. We had the good fortune to meet when you were still in radio, known as JPAT back then.
Yeah, back then. That's previous slide. Yeah.
You helped me develop a statement, a CEO vision that could be used to share with the organization exactly what our mission was. And it's 3 or 4 sentences. I don't remember it offhand, but it's basically to make the experiences that people have at the Wisconsin Center memorable and buzzworthy experiences. And we narrowed it down to 3 key pillars: be bold, be proud, be experience obsessed. And we rolled that out in March. We found out about the DNC several weeks afterwards. And I've really worked hard, and the group has worked hard to have the staff buy into the fact that this is a great place to work. We had done an employee engagement survey for the first time in our 20-year history in December of last year and found out a couple things that are pretty obvious that you should be doing them for a good business, and that's communicate with your staff, tell them what the plans are, involve them in decision making, none of which was being done. So we've changed the culture. So when we got the DNC, we were on a path for buy-in. We were on a path of feeling good about what we did. No one had ever shared within the organization, nice job, hey, that was really good.
Yeah.
The staff was beaten up, and it's been easy to change because it was so poorly managed beforehand. And for those who came before me in the job, I don't mean to speak ill of them. They did their best. They just weren't right for the job. And we've had a real turnaround. I look forward to the years to come.
So when you put the employee first in that way and you bring them closer to you as the leader, how did they respond? I mean, it seemed like they responded well, but you were doing it very purposefully. So as a leader bringing their staff closer, how did it go?
It's gone well, but it's funny, we've had some follow-up meetings in the past several weeks, and I was when we were asked to go, senior leadership was asked to go around the room and tell us how you think the employees rate us. And I gave us a fairly high ranking as far as how the staff viewed management and our communication. During this, simultaneous to this training that I'm giving the senior leadership team, I'm also doing it to the next level of leadership in the organization. And when we saw their results, they were not as positive in how they felt about how we're doing. So I think there's a fair amount of skepticism. This is still relatively new in changing the culture in the organization. We rolled it out in March. It's only, 6 months later. Right. But it's a matter of continuous reinforcement, sharing information. We have, every other month I have a board meeting. I report to a 7-member board. And right after the meeting, we email to everyone the CEO notes so that they know what we've talked about, and they're not hearing about what we're doing through the radio or through the newspaper. They're getting it directly from me as soon as it's happening.
Which is, to them, absurd. They've never had any inclusion like that.
Correct.
All right, let's move to the expansion for a second, because I think it's very much something we could all experience as small business owners when we think about, I'm going to try and do something big to improve and grow the business. Yours just happened to be an expansion of your, facilities. Go to the early stage ideation. We need to expand. What was that process like to even start putting things up on the whiteboard of, oh, we need this much space? Like, how did you come up with what you wanted to ask for? Not how you asked for it. I'm going to ask for that too. But first, what do we want to do, guys? Like, how did you start that process and lead that process?
In fairness, that process has been going on since 2012.
Oh.
The one thing our organization has done is spent a lot of money doing study after study and going nowhere with it. A number of studies were underway before I joined the organization, starting in 2017, that were finally rolled out in the summer of 2018 after I had a chance to review them and make some modifications to what was being looked at. But what had been done is we contracted with a nationally known, reputable organization to go out and do an analysis between us and those cities that we want, that are either in our comp set or our aspirational set. Yeah. And comparable markets are Louisville, Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland. Aspirational is Indianapolis, St. Louis. Chicago is really a whole level beyond that. So we identified what amount of space we needed from an exhibition level, ballroom, meeting room space, and came up with a plan that is looking to almost double the footprint of our existing space, depending upon how it gets laid out on the property. So that's what we've done.
So when it comes, what will that do for you? Why do you need the additional space? What will that mean for the WCB?
The biggest reason for the expansion, certainly we will benefit and be able to go after larger conventions that have more attendees, need more exhibition space. That's not the catalyst to this expansion. The real opportunity for us is to be able to do more events of the same size, either simultaneously or on the heels of one another. The example that I use, and our business model is predicated on the hotel tax. We get a 2.5% from the county, 7% from the city. We also get 2.5% from food and beverage sales. So we're all about heads and beds. Yeah. For a medium-sized convention, let's say they're in the building for 4 nights. Well, it takes, and on those 4 nights, those are 4 nights of peak attendance, so you could have, let's say, 2,000 room nights each of those nights. But the event may take a week to load in and 2 days to load out, so the building's out of pocket for 11 days, of which are really only money-making for the hoteliers for 4 nights. Right. If we're able to double the size, we can either have 2 events of the same size going on simultaneously, or one loading in while the other's occurring, or loading out while one is loading in. So it's going to dramatically increase the number of visitors that we're going to have. So it means more hotel room nights and more business for restaurants, bars, and all the other services in the city.
So the plan in hand, then you had to be the face of the sales of it. You had to get the money, you had to get it approved, you had to go through the legislature, you had to go through the board, you had to go through your team, you had to go through everybody. As the leader, how did you think about doing that? How did you think about the campaign of getting the yes so it could move forward?
Wow, that's a good question.
All right, there's one. All right.
I think first and foremost, it's been, for me, not thinking about what we can't do or let's just do our jobs the way they are. I want to learn every day. I want to do something bigger and better and want to have fun at what I do. And the same old that's not why I came here. And you want to do more shows. You want to be busy and to keep things status quo. I've been able to instill in the staff, not only do they have the capacity to do it, they have the talent to do it. They've sat back for the past couple of years and seen the success that the Bucks have had, the building of the Fiserv Forum. It's an incredible facility. It's done great things for the city. Us too. We want to do that too.
Yeah.
So I think the staff is energized to be a part of something that they'll be proud of instead of something they're beaten up about.
Yeah. We're almost done, almost out of time, but I do want to get a little bit from you. When we were talking before the interview, you shared some really powerful stuff about bringing your team in on the decisions and explaining what's in it for them if they help you accomplish something. And I know it's part of your philosophy. Can you give us a little bit about that as far as management and bringing your team along for the ride?
Absolutely. Buy-in is critical. In our business, the hospitality business, it really, well, what I do makes an impact, but the people who are touching our clients, be the meeting planner or the attendee for either a conference, convention, or a public show, is our guest services staff and our frontline staff for Levy restaurants. So we've really invested in them this past year to make them feel important about what they do. What they do matters. I share with them that they're the ones that are impacting how the business will grow because of their success. I used to say in the arena business, we don't control the songs that the artist plays or how loud they play it, but we greet the people when they come and we tell them to drive home safely and thank them for coming when they get here. So we touch the experience that the people have, and we're really looking to improve that and make it be transformational.
If you manage people for a living, Marty's someone to look up to. You do a great job of doing it. I've been in staff meetings with him when he talks with his team, and very few leaders have the emotional range to be the boss and also give and listen at the same time, and you do a great job of that. So if you manage for a living, you should connect with Marty because he's spectacular. And congratulations on your success.
Thank you.
And we're all cheering for you. Thanks for coming
Thank
by.
you.
Marty
This
Brooks,
is great.
Wisconsin Center District. Thank you, sir. Oh, yeah. Don't knock that over. All right. Now for the big finish, as they say, right? We're going to do the raffle and announce some events here in a little bit as well. But I think we should move on because I'm excited to talk to Kathleen. Let's welcome to the stage the CEO of the Wisconsin State Fair Park, Kathleen O'Leary. Hi, Kathleen.
Hello, J-Pat.
Oh, J-Pat.
It is so, you're J-Pat to me.
Well, we go way back. We were doing little interviews like this 10 years ago on the radio, way back. And that was how many jobs before the one that you have now? Because you've gone like this, and now you're the queen bee of the organization. But that was what, at least 3 jobs ago, right?
This was my 22nd fair.
Wow.
Yes, I started very young. So, I'll scooch this way so I can look at you. So yes, we were doing that when I was the director of marketing or director of marketing and communications, but maybe the chief operating officer. And then we also did it while I was CEO.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And congratulations, by the way. How long have you been CEO now?
This was my 4th year as
4th year.
CEO.
Spectacular. So tell us about, similar to Sara, State Fair and State Fair Park is more than just the the fair itself. There's a lot more in your world. Can you just give us a brief overview of everything that's going on at State Fair?
I absolutely can. Certainly we're an 11-day fair, the State Fair. We have 200 acres at Wisconsin State Fair Park. So during the 11-day fair, we welcome 1 million, over 1 million people, 1,130,572, if you'd like to know. I'm very proud of it. This is our 7th year of having over 1 million people come to the Wisconsin State Fair. But in addition to that, for the other 350 days a year, we are an entertainment venue. We have a 200,000 square foot exposition center. We certainly are home and host to a number of agricultural events. And for everyone in this room that's from Milwaukee, you know that we are also home to the Milwaukee Mile, which is the historical 1 mile oval that we did get a race last year. We did have a race last year. We will have another race this year, and maybe 2 races actually. So keeping that track hot is super important too.
Are you breaking news tonight?
Oh,
you were kind of teasing
a little
that.
tidbit there. That was a tease.
Some of your team is here tonight, and when you think about the people that your organization needs to satisfy, it's the people that rent the Expo Center, right? But it's also the guests that come through the doors. How many different audiences would you say that you have to satisfy and please through the fair? I mean, we could make a list of probably 10 or 12 if we had to, right?
Oh, it's, and no one is supposed to understand the magnitude of it. You really aren't. You're supposed to come and you're supposed to enjoy. And what is it that brings you joy? Because the beautiful thing about the Wisconsin State Fair is that there's something that will bring everyone joy. Do you want to have all of the food, and is that what you are? Are you a foodie and you're just going to eat your way through? Do you want to see entertainment on 30 different stages or see a national act at the main stage? Are you really wanting to have your rural meets urban, or in this case, maybe the urban meets rural experience with our agricultural village? Are you the thrill seeker? Do you want to go and ride all the rides and, have all of your thrills in Spin City? So that's the beauty of it. But when we touch on things, people don't understand that we have 10,000 animals over the course of the 11 days. We have 178 vendors that have 178 locations that are serving, food of all different sorts, and of course 67 of them serve malt beverages. So we have, over 600 commercial exhibitors with locations all throughout the fair park. We'll have 6,000 plus kids stay in the youth center. So those are just a touch on, what the things that we're doing and the staff that, becoming the CEO was wonderful, and it was earned, and it was hard work, and I'm so humbled by it, but I'm so honored to lead one of the most talented staffs in the fair and exposition industry. They're sought after, they speak around the country, they're young, they're ridiculously talented and passionate, and for me and for what we do, and Sara, we touched on it, Marty touched on it as well. You'd think we have this enormous staff, and we don't. I mean, I have 47 full-time employees. I have 36, what we call a double LTE, so they're year-round, but they're not a full-time employee. Now, mind you, we'll onboard 1,800 people to put on the 11-day Wisconsin State Fair.
So if you think about that, we've talked to 3 leaders tonight, and all of your staffs are under 50 full-time equivalents, right? Mm-hmm. And they're hosting parties for nearly 1 million, over 1 million, and an international audience, and building, doubling your size practically. So when we whine about, oh, I'm busy, I can't get this stuff done, come on. So one thing that I think you do an exceptional job of is it seems as though your decisions come from your personal vision of the fair experience. All the way back to the first time I met you, the first broadcast we were doing, it seemed like you could see the fair like a shining city on the hill, like you know what it's supposed to be. Can you summarize that, or do you have a way that you say it when you try and communicate what you think the fair experience is all about? Because it seems to guide you in a way that not all leaders are guided by what they believe in.
Thank you. Number one, it's because I'm ridiculously passionate about the industry. I'm passionate about the Wisconsin State Fair, but I'm really, really also about the county levels. I mean, we're proud to have 76 of them here in Wisconsin. It's magical. I mean, in my mind and through my eyes and vision of what I see, it's so all-encompassing of what it takes to put this on, and the monumental feat that it takes, and what it takes of staff, and the testament to family. And Sara touched on it. I mean, upwards of 220 hours in 11 days. We don't see our families, and it's not just those 11 days. By the time that we get to opening day, we're well into 30 plus days of just, hard on, we're there, we're in it, it's spinning, we're, counting the hours because we need every single hour so that we can, pull up the curtain of that 200 acres and that huge show that's going to say, here, we are going to, again, for the 168th year, create memories that are going to transcend generations. And if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, then you know what, when you're a little kid, you enjoyed it because of this. And then when you were a teenager, you did it because of this. And then all of a sudden you became 20 and you wanted to go and do it differently. And now all of a sudden I'm 30 and I have kids and I have my kids coming. And I really want to spend more time with my family because I really enjoy my family. So I want to go with my grandma and grandpa. And I want to experience things that I wouldn't. I want to try my traditions, right? Maybe I have to have my Bucks Milk House 50-cent milk, right? Or I have to have my cream puff because 450,000 of you had cream puffs, which I'm very thankful for. But then it's always that sprinkling. I didn't know about that. What about that? Or, oh my gosh, I didn't know that steer could be that big.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's the magic, and it's what I love, and it's what we love, and it's what we love to do for all of you, because we can put it on, but it's all of yours. It's your Wisconsin State Fair.
And translating that to what we do, how important is it to have that vision so we are driven? Because I would imagine if someone comes into your organization, I mean, not literally, but pretty quickly you could tell, are they in it for the vision? Or are they in it to watch the hours and get the paycheck? Like, how important is it to not only have that vision, but believe in it? Because for some small business owners, there are times when that's the only thing that keeps us going, is what's going to be. Is it really that important to have?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can't teach a fair. I mean, I've onboarded a number of people throughout my 22 years, right? And you can't teach a fair, but once you've experienced a fair and once you see it and you can feel it and you can touch it, the passion becomes something that you didn't understand, and now you want to do it even better and you want to make it bigger. And it's not my vision, and I'm, like I said, I'm humbled to be surrounded by this incredible team that, of all different ages and all different levels of experience, right? So now it's, can we try this? And I love to think that I'm very open-minded in the sense of, whoa, that is an off-the-charts idea, but I love it. Let's try it. Do you guys think you can do it? And we try all the different kinds of things, and if you don't throw it against the wall, you won't know if it sticks.
Can you think of a time when your vision disqualified something? Like, that's not what we do at the fair. Can you give us an example of anything that didn't pass the filter of the staff or you as far as what the fair is supposed to be?
I'll never live down the book bus. So I'm a big believer in advocacy, right? Let's get our kids reading. Let's all be reading. So we had this old rickety bus, and I was like, all of it was there to do it right, but I didn't have the buy-in. And Marty talked about it, and I don't know if we're going to go there, but from a reorg standpoint and the buy-in, I didn't have the buy-in of the of the staff. I didn't have the buy-in of my facilities to tow the truck or tow the bus and have kids come out and paint the bus. And so there's always that fun story of the book bus.
Yeah.
But it was an idea that had merit, and in my legacy, we might see a book bus again.
That's your learning experience.
It's the learning
right?
experience.
All right, let's talk about the fair as a business. How do you know it's changing? What are you watching and noticing that things are changing? Like, oh, we used to do a lot of this and that's not working as well anymore. As the leader and as your team, what are you watching, and how do you know which way things are changing and how has it changed?
Well, 7 years of having over 1 million people tells me that people want to be there, right? It tells us that we're sending good messages, that we're sending the right messages, that have the interest of people that want to be there. And the beauty of certainly the Wisconsin State Fair is that the loyalty of the people that continue to come back, the statistics of the people that have come for 5 years is staggering. The people that have come 10 years in a row is even more staggering. The beauty of when I know we're doing stuff right and that team is doing stuff right is when we can get the new person there. And I think Sara touched on it. It's like we do all of these surveys and we do all of these statistics of the people that have been there. I want to survey the people that haven't been there, and why have you not come?
Yeah.
Do you honestly still believe that we are that stigma, and we had it for a long time. It's been 22 years, a long time. I came from Chicago. It's like the Wisconsin State Fair, okay. I get it, I like it, it's a big event, but you still, even back then it was, okay, it's the fair, like, are they wearing overalls and are they sitting on hay bales, right?
Part of us are, not all of us, but part of us.
That is so removed. It is so removed. It's the place to go. It can be hip and trendy, and you can love Summerfest because we all love Summerfest, but you can also love the Wisconsin State Fair for the same reasons you love Summerfest. You want to go and you want to have some beers and you want to listen to great music and you want to have food and you want to watch people watch and you want to be with your friends. That's everything that the Wisconsin State Fair provides as well.
I want to talk about change based on how you're collecting information. So what do you ask? Who do you ask? How do you ask? How do you use it? How do you know where things are going?
We're junkies. We're data-based. We're data junkies. I love it. I can't get enough of it. They can't get enough of it. But to the business owners here, what I would say is that, you know what? The biggest fault of anyone, whether you have a big business, a small business, whether you run a major event or whatever the case may be, if you're going to ask for the data or you're going to seek out the data, use it. Right? You ask them to survey, and then you get the survey statistics, and you don't do anything with you. It's a shame on all of us, right? It's a shame on you if you're doing it, and that would be my biggest thing to say, please don't do that. So, I mean, we survey, so we have eTix, which is a state-of-the-art ticket company, and our ticketing software. I swear to God that it could stand up and spit quarters if you said it. Please stand up and spit quarters. But, I mean, we can gather all the zip codes. We can gather the counties. We now survey our fairgoers that come on a daily basis. So, because what we want to do is say thank you. We want to know what your experience was like, because that's ridiculously important. But more than that, we want to say thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for choosing. Thank you. There's a lot to do in Milwaukee. There's a lot to do in this area. Thank you for spending your money here. Thank you for spending your time here. So, and it's fresh, right? You just came off of it. So you may not see your email when you come home from the fair, but tomorrow you're going to see it. And it's going to say, thank you for coming to the Wisconsin State Fair. How was your experience? And just 4 little questions that, give us a good sense of what they liked, what they didn't like, if they didn't have an issue. And then we're following up on that. So eTix does a lot of our surveying. We'll do a big survey afterwards. MailChimp, again, for the business owners, MailChimp is our friend, right? We do so much through MailChimp. We have on-site surveys that we do, we do it about every 3rd year, because now we're so advanced with the eTix, but we put it strategically in different places, and it's just a touch screen, right? So it's easy and it's kind of fun, and we gather data that way as well.
Yeah.
And that is honestly how we program. That's what we do. We listen to the voices. You tell us what you like. You tell us what caused you heartache or headaches. And those are our areas that we need to work on to improve.
But look at the dichotomy. It's a vision-based organization with a high ideal that wants to be something, but it's run on data.
Run on data, run on good industry knowledge.
Sure.
Best practices, your standards of your best practices. A lot of research. There's no better place that I can send my staff to, or that I go to, because I go regularly to other fairs, right? I'm doing all kinds of competitive analysis, trust me, having a lot of fun at it, but because it's right before the event, so it's like, it's not our event, so let's go have some fun. And let's also, make sure to see what they're doing, see what Summerfest is doing. Right now, the biggie, the Eastern Exposition is happening out in Massachusetts. That is one of the greatest fairs. Our friends at Minnesota, you know what? Twice, we have 200 acres, they have 400 acres. But we always send people up there to take a look. Very proud, again, privileged, humbled to have, we had over 12 fairs come to the Wisconsin State Fair to look at us, to see our models and what we're doing, especially with safety and security and our beautification.
One of my mentors taught me that talent borrows and genius steals, right? You see something good and you're like, we're going to do that. Thank you very much.
Share ideas.
You could call it that, but I'll call it stealing. Okay, so we all go to the fair. We all love the fair. Can you think of something that changed at the fair that was a result of your surveying and feedback that might have been data-driven, that like people didn't know it was data-driven? Like you stopped doing something or started doing something because of what people were telling you, Do you know what I'm saying here?
I would say, I mean, I have quite a few examples, so I want to give one that's, good for the entire audience. We always look, what are they doing? Where are they going on the website? What are they doing? Certainly they love the food, right? Entertainment and food are the two top ones. So it's like, we got to do something more with the food. Number one, we need to be innovative. You're always going to think of cream puffs when you think of the Wisconsin State Fair. You're probably going to think of corn dogs and, some of the other stays of what the fair food is like, but we want to be innovative. We want to take it to another level. So what do? You rely on your best partners, your assets, your partners, your sponsors. So we created 7 years ago a food contest called Sporkies.
Sporkies.
And the Sporkies competition is wonderful because it involves everyone. It involves our operators. We challenge them to come up with these innovative, ridiculous things that you can't make up, and I can't believe that some of them have thought them up and actually then made them, but they create great food items, right? So, and they're in all different categories, but anywhere from 38 to 45 of our vendors will do this, and then we narrow it down to 8, and so we don't do anything small at the Wisconsin State Fair. So if you are one of the finalists, then in front of your stand, you have a 20-foot metal, ginormous spork, because it's the Sporkies, and narrow it down, and then on the Wednesday of the fair, the only Wednesday of the fair, we have a Sporkies contest in the amphitheater, and the 8 vendors, operators come out, and then we have a celebrity panel and a fairgoer favorite panel. We do that through social media, and then we have a blogger that's on there as well, and we bring out and create and name the best food and the sport final, the finalists, and then the Sporkies. Their revenue will increase upwards of 45 to 65%.
Wow, if they win.
If they win.
Wow.
And I won't throw out a statistic, but it's high if they're just a finalist.
Yeah.
Now in the 7th year. And of course, the first year it was like, begging our vendors to do it.
Yeah.
Come on, jump on the bandwagon. And then year 2 got better, year 3. But now the data's telling us that we need to freshen it up. We need to revamp it a little bit. We need to give it a little new life. Not a little new life, we need to give it a lot of new life.
Sure.
It's great, but now it's our job to give it that twist.
Well, Sara was kind enough to offer us all Summerfest tickets, and if you need that is what you said? Power passes all 11 days? Thank you, Sara. That backstage passes. Thank you. But if you need like a small business owner to stand in on, being a Sporkies, I think we could liven it up, right? If we have to go up there and eat the food. We're running out of time, but I want to hit on 2 more quick things. One thing that impressed me when we talked before the show were some of your contingency plans, because this is over 1 million people that come to basically a giant backyard. So you've got to have a lot of contingency plans. So can you talk about how you think about ensuring the fair's success? Because that might open some doors in the way we think about ensuring success for our businesses.
Well, we're certainly weather dependent, as is Sara. And we need to be thinking about that, because we can cross every T and dot every I, and then it will rain for a number of days. Or worst case, and people don't know this, so this is your little tidbit and takeaway, is heat is our nemesis. The absolute nemesis. The rain is not so much for us, a little more for Sara, but not so much for us, because we have, a 200,000 square foot exposition center. We have virtually 20 acres of places that you can go if it should be raining, right? But the heat is the hard one. So we have what we call hip pocket promotions. We're ready, we're prepared. Have we had our 4th day of heat? Do we need to do something? That promotion is already in place and is ready to, we're ready to pull it right there. Certainly from a weather insurance standpoint, we need to have it. You have these acts, they're, our stage is on the Milwaukee Mile in, the aluminum monstrosity of the Milwaukee Mile grandstand. I mean, that's aluminum. If we are 13 miles, out of ground strikes, we're evacuating, and we're not playing games. And at least while on my seat, while I'm the leader, I don't play any games. We have an emergency command post that we are monitoring at all times. I have a 24/7 command post with my police and jurisdictions from the 4 different municipalities surrounding us. We take it very serious, so from that standpoint, it's monitored all the time. Safety is first, but weather insurance helps the cause when we're having a great act and we're watching the fierce storms come in.
Yeah. I'm not sure what you're taking away, but one of the things I'm going to take away is planning for failure. That's a real thing, because a lot of us are good at planning on if things go well and how will we handle the capacity, or boy, I'm going to grow to be this, but what if I don't, and what will I do about it? And having contingency plans when things don't go well is something that no one wants to have those conversations. Like, oh wow, what if I only had 10 people here tonight? Well, what would I do? You're like, I didn't do that. I should have. Thank you. Lesson learned. But I think it's something we can all take away as a contingency plan, something that we can use. So again, we have time for just like one or two more questions real quick. Someone that had a vision, owns a vision of what this organization should be, and now has risen all the way to the top to lead that organization. What kind of advice would you give us to help us accomplish our vision? Like, what can you attribute success, or how can you share something about what it took to get to where you are?
Take care of your assets, and that is your people. Whether you have one person or you have, in my case, 48 and the 37 LTEs and the 1,800, it doesn't matter, you know, what part of the organization they're in. What I've learned and what I've lived and what I believe in, and my testament to who I am and how I manage and my leadership, you take care of everyone, because it takes everyone to make it happen. And my assets are awesome.
That's great. I think we'll leave it there. That's beautiful. Kathleen O'Leary, Wisconsin State Fair CEO. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.